Around 50% of the school are either former or current rostered athletes. A whole group comes in freshman year, ready for success. And by the time senior year rolls around, the numbers on their rosters from that same freshman class was a shadow of what used to be. Why is this? Why is this the case? Wabash rostered sports has more of a negative effect on a Wabash student's college experience. Wabash sports compromises your academic and social success. I did a survey around 45 current rostered sport athletes. I asked them the question, how do you feel about your sport from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, 5.5 being a neutral feeling, 10 being it's the best part of my day, 1 being it is terrible for me academically, socially, and as a hobby. And out of those 45 students, the average was 5.2. 5.2 out of 45 student athletes I surveyed. 5.5 being what I gave as neutral. Why for something that's considered a hobby, something that people do for fun, why is that a negative connotation to it? Well, the first reason is Wabash sports has a crippling effect on students' academic success. In this recording, I interview current baseball player Blake on his take of how compromising his sport is. What is one thing you dislike about your sport?
Sometimes me and coach will see eye to eye. I say that's one thing. But grew up playing the sport, feel like I can't leave it now. But sometimes workload's a little much, especially when you have to take 2 semesters having 5 classes. It can be a grind, so that's one thing I'd say.
How much time does your sport normally take up per week?
Well, off season, I'll take up about 2 hours, and that's just a little bit of extra work going in there personally. So we have morning lifts. In season, it's about 2 to 3 or 4 hours.
Do you think sports has a negative effect on your academic performance?
I would say in some situations, yes. There's times where I can't study as much as I usually would because we have like evening practice, or I gotta go to bed early, go to the morning lifts and stuff like that. I have to watch my sleep schedule more, and there's a lot of time in my day taken out where I could be studying.
Thank you. So, in this interview, he mentioned 2 hours a week, which he's more so saying about 2 hours a day, and when in season, it takes 4 hours a day with practice and lifts. So that was a misunderstanding. But when he's talking about, he mentioned morning lifts and how he has to always constantly watch his sleep and sometimes miss out on his study time due to the fact that he is not getting enough time to do his homework, and that he wants to make sure he gets enough sleep to be prepared for class the next day. Well, if you're not doing your homework, are you really understanding all the materials in your class courses? And if you go to class, you get homework to understand what you did in class. But if you don't have enough time to reinforce that in your brain, then how is this helping? I also interviewed another baseball player, Robbie Manuzzi, about his thoughts on the matter. What are some things you dislike about baseball at Wabash College?
I think one of the biggest things is just it's such a big time commitment, and there's not necessarily as many resources that you'd expect to have with such a time commitment that you have with baseball. And I'm assuming it's like this with every other sport. And it really makes it hard sometimes to be able to do schoolwork and focus on your school while still participating in athletics.
Do you think sports has a negative effect on your personal life as well?
I think there are definitely some ways that happens, such as like there are times where I go all day, go to classes, and I have practice, and then have to go straight to the library. And once I get back from the library, it's already time to get to sleep, so that I have enough sleep to go be able to take on the next day.
Thank you.
Robbie mentions how much of a time commitment it is for baseball. Talking about how he goes from his classes to baseball to library to sleep and repeat. This is not sustainable. We need, as students, student athletes, we need time for ourselves to recuperate, socialize, be ourselves. If he compromises his social or mental needs for academics, because sports, that's going to take it up regardless. Like there is no leniency with sports. So then his academics might suffer due to him trying to not burn out for once. And we see with both Blake Cardwell and Robbie Manuzzi that sleep, getting enough time to sleep, is a very important factor into these issues. Wabash College sports can drain the social life out of someone to where all they can do is class and sports. Former athlete Elijah Green, who used to play on the football team, talks about his experience and why he chose to leave football. In his quote, "One thing that becomes apparent rather quickly when playing a college sport is that time is no longer your own. Football became my life, plain and simple. I lifted in my time off, and I have practiced 5 out of the 7 days a week, with the off days being travel days and game day. It became an unsustainable lifestyle. I wasn't pursuing my other passions, and I was so tired all the time that I didn't have enough energy to get up and go to church on Sundays. I was moody and irritable, and classwork became just an extra chore at the end of the day. So I decided I wanted to take my life back, and that's what I wanted to pursue. I wanted to pursue my other passions again, as well as enjoy going to college for the experiences that it could provide outside the classroom and not feel obligated to stay in my classroom, my room, and catch up on rest. Football is very draining as well as other Wabash sports. Rest becomes your lifeline. Activities, social events are secondary. Not to mention, this place is supposed to set you up with great connections and stuff. But how are you going to find the time to go out your way and meet some alumni? How are you going to go out your way and go to career services to get your resume set up? You don't. You are worried about sleep. This last person I interviewed, Jeremiah Clayton, current football player, talks about his experiences with Wabash sports, in his case, football.
what is one thing you think the coaches can do to make practice and your sport, football, more enjoyable?
Damn. Lord knows what I'm feeling right now. Shit, give me some black representation on the staff. If you want me to be real, you know what I mean? It's only a number of us on the team. And, we continuously learn from each other regardless. But it's a difference when you have that administrative, that authoritative type of coaching that looks like you. What's up?
What up?
Good.
So in this, Jeremiah talks about how football does take up a lot of time in his life, but he's using it as a lever to work on his time management skills, in which situations like this do really push your time limit skills to the test. However, there are some alternative options. There are all the time I am sports popping up. You got flag football, you got I am basketball, I am soccer, you got rugby, you can join the rugby team. And all of these take up time, but not nearly as much time, and you can still get those competitive juices and physical activity going. The competition might not be as good, but it's a great alternative because you came here to be a student first. You came here for the Wabash education. So maybe you should prioritize some things and realize sports don't last forever. Education, in your mind, that will. To wrap things up, Wabash College roster sports, for the most part, have a negative effect on students' college experience at Wabash College. It is academically compromising and can socially, personally demoralize you. Now, there are alternatives such as playing IMs, joining other clubs, working on your alumni connections. These are just some of the many routes you can go. And before you wake up for your next 5:30 lift, I want you to really consider, is this something I really want to be doing for my future years at Wabash College? Something that I want to do right now. Thank you.